Hello, survivors. Welcome to Qigong with Kevin, sponsored by Aortic Hope. Big shout out to Aortic Hope for all they do. And as you can see, I'm driving in the car. There's a rest area right ahead, so I'm going to pull over and do the rest of this broadcast from the rest area. But we're going to talk about Qigong today and healing in nature, the benefits, the beauty of healing through nature. So hang tight with us here as I pull off the interstate. Thank you for joining. As always, with any kind of medical practice, make sure you clear it with your doctor before participating. And here we go, pulling into a parking spot. So instead of doing physical Qigong today, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of healing in nature. So Qigong and traditional Chinese medicine has its roots based in nature, thousands of years of hands-on practice by community and family doctors over the millennia. And these doctors have passed down amazing information about health and healing based on nature. Now, I love Western medicine. Western medicine is what saved my life. It's the greatest thing in the world. However, the benefits I have found with traditional Chinese medicine have helped me manage survival. I am a survivor, as many of you are, and it's great to be a survivor. But sometimes, even though we are patched up, and I've had 2 cancer surgeries where I had my large colon removed, part of my kidney removed. I've had melanoma cancer operations. So I'm not only a cancer survivor, but an extensive aortic dissection survivor. So Western medicine has pulled me through, and I'm here today to live another day because of Western medicine. However, what traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong have really given me tools for is making it through the day mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I really appreciate the gentle effectiveness that I've found in Qigong, especially Qigong. Now, Qigong is not only physical, it's also internal and mental too. There's several schools. There's Taoist schools and Buddhist schools of Qigong. There's martial art type schools of Qigong, and there's meditative schools of Qigong. Combining the meditative and the gentle movements have really helped my body post-dissection surgery and post-cancer surgery in so many ways. I can remember after my dissection that I could hardly lift my arms above my head. And one of the reasons is because I would sit in my recliner. I didn't have the strength to get up and move about and do the work that I had done before my dissection. So with Qigong, I started lifting my arms. Very simple, just lifting my arms above my head. And over the years, the practice of lifting my arms above my head has given me a transformation in my shoulders that I never expected could happen. Before dissection, my rotator cuff area on both shoulders was just so painful. I couldn't throw the football with my son. I would just toss the football underhand. However, through years of gentle Qigong movements, lifting my hands and my arms and elbows up above my shoulders and up above my head, today I can honestly say that I am pain-free in my shoulders. I can lift my arms, I can do jumping jacks, and I attribute that to just the constant gentle movements of Qigong. A lot of that I see reflective of wildlife in nature, just watching animals. And there are whole schools of animal movements, physical therapy based on animal movements. and watching the birds and how they move their wings when they fly. One of my favorite Qigong movements is white crane, the white crane group of Qigong movements, where you lift your arms up above your head. We've done that before in several of the episodes, and then drop your arms back down. So looking to nature is very important and contributes so much to our maintaining our existing health, and then also improving our mobility and motility throughout our joints and our limbs, our tendons and fascia and muscles. So looking to nature has been one of the greatest things in the world on my healing journey. Now with Qigong, Qigong has a theory of breaking nature down into 5 basic elements. There are many more, but the 5 standard elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And you see that often represented in a pentagram type star, with each element at the point of the star. So typically throughout TCM, or traditional Chinese medicine, these the 5 elements have been associated with a sense organ. They're also associated with uh, colors and tastes. I'm going to turn the car on just because it's getting a little bit hot here with the air conditioner on. And I want to talk just briefly today about the sense organs that are associated with the 5 elements. So starting with fire, fire is typically associated with the color red and the heart, but one of the sense organs that fire is associated with is our tongue and taste. There's so many different tastes out in nature, and I would encourage you to start paying attention to taste with the food that you eat. Um, there, what that does, by paying attention to the taste of the food that we eat, it helps us establish a level of communication, a bond with what nature is providing for us, be it vegetables or a meat product or a grain. So linking back to nature is so important. And there's so many ways that we can reestablish our links with nature. Nature is our mother. It's where we as humans came from. We evolved out of nature. And today, most of us are locked up in the concrete jungle in buildings we hardly ever see. I think the statistics say that between 70 and 90% of our day is typically taken up indoors, out of sunshine, away from the forests, the grasslands, the ocean. And so linking back to nature is very important. I think that as is linking back to nature is so important that in future generations, if we don't reestablish that link to nature, then we are going to see a constant degradation of our health, because our health is grounded in the concepts that we find in nature. So think about the 5 elements, starting again with the tongue and the element of fire, and the tongue and taste, and think about your foods that you ingest and the tastes. There's a reason that foods taste the way they do. It's a product of millennia of evolution and human interaction with their foods. Then um, with metal, the element of metal, the our nose is associated with metal because metal is a representative of our lungs also. And there are so many scents out in nature. Right now, the magnolia trees are blooming in our yard. And I love the fragrance of the magnolias. And the magnolias are an amazing species. They're one of the oldest trees found, the oldest tree families and genus found across the globe. There's so many different types of magnolias, but the magnolia, the scent of the magnolia attracts certain beetles. Very complex, biodiverse interactions there with the scents of flowers and of foods. So I would encourage you. Sometimes we just walk through the yard or through the city and we don't pay attention to what we're actually smelling. But the smells and the scents tell a story, and they help us when we can recognize those scents. It helps us to manage our cortisol levels because there's that innate communication with nature uh, embedded in sense. So I would strongly encourage you to pay attention to your sense organs through your nose and the element of metal. We skipped over earth and the spleen, but the mouth is associated with the spleen because an earth element, because the earth element is associated with the gallbladder and the stomach. Like, of course, the mouth is where we the organ that we chew with and eat with, and uh, understanding the interaction of the textures, quality, and again, taste of food is so important in helping us reestablish that link back to nature. Establishing again that link to nature is so important for our overall health because again, we've been severed from the home that we came from, the out of doors, the sunshine, the fresh air, the ocean breezes, the seafood, the fruits of the trees. And uh, it's just, again, so critical that we as humans, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren, create patterns in our family that we can reestablish those links back to nature that our DNA has been formed from. So after metal, we of course have the water element. That is the fourth of the five elements in the five elements. And water represents the kidneys. The sense organ that is associated with the kidneys and a water element is the ears. Now, I love this association. I think that audible sounds are so important to our healing. And through the generations, we have seen how humans can shift from very focused activity that is associated with cortisol release and stress and inflammation, can shift away from that focused activity back to what I would refer to as soft fascination. And through sounds, the sounds of a gentle rain, the sounds of waves slowly lapping up on the shoreline, the sound of wind blowing through the pine needles, the sounds of frogs at night, reassuring us that there are no predators around our camp area as our ancestors would listen for. The sounds of birds in the morning, waking us up and welcoming in a new day. The ears associated with our kidneys and the water element are just such an important part of nature-based Qigong healing. So again, I would encourage you to focus on what you hear and turn that radio, the rock and roll off. Rock and roll is another, or any kind of radio music, be it opera or classical. It's all has its place. However, sometimes today I think we forget about the value of nature-based sounds. The languages of nature is what I call the sounds of healing nature. And I love to go place my recorders, as you know, out in the swamps and in the forests and record wildlife sounds, play them back, and I find the majority of those sounds to be very relaxing, helping me make that shift from focused cortisol based high intensity life to a more soft fascination filled life. Can you remember back when you were a kid laying on the grass in your backyard and looking up and seeing the clouds just drift by and hearing the wind blow through the trees? It's that type of recognition of senses and a connection to nature that are really going to help us post dissection or post cancer surgery in navigating survivorship. Finally, after the audible sounds, uh, we have the wood element and the liver, which is associated with the eyes. I think visual sight is so very important too. That connection to nature, seeing green. Green is the color of the wood element and the liver, but seeing green, making eye contact is so very important, such an important part of our healing journey through Qigong as survivors. And what I would encourage you to do is using your eyes make contact. I heard a great explanation of how visual contact with people can establish a, a bond that releases a level of, of safety, a level of feeling secure, a flood of oxytocin that rushes through your body by making eye contact. And this neuroscientist that I was listening to was talking about how most mothers are right-handed, and when they had a baby, would hold the baby in their left hand, and it would be the mother's right eye making contact with the baby's left eye through the formative years. And unbeknownstly, that that contact would continue with the child as it grew up into adulthood. So by making contact with someone else, your right eye into their left eye, you can establish such a secure sense of bonding and relationship that, again, that flood of oxytocin is released and cortisol is suppressed, inflammation is suppressed, and healing can proceed on. But it's not just with contact or bonding with another person, also with nature. So many times in my life, I've walked by trees and not looked at trees. I haven't seen the leaves on a tree. I've seen green, just masses of green. But that's not the contact that really gives us the, the oxytocin rush nature can provide through contact. We need to look at the leaves, look at the texture, the patterns, the different hues and colors of the leaves, and the bark. Bark is amazing on trees. Look at the clouds. Let's make eye contact with clouds and not just view it as total soft fascination in the background, but soft fascination that we can really connect with. So by focusing on our visual contact with nature, we help reestablish that link between our DNA and the healing qualities that nature has to offer us. So today's blurb while I was driving is I just felt this very important urge to share. Let's reconnect with nature through our senses because there's so much healing power right there. Let's stop being severed by isolating ourselves in the concrete jungle, in our apartments, in our houses. Let's go outside. Let's soak up sunshine. Let rain fall on our heads. Let the wind blow through our hair. Take our eyes and look and make contact, just like that mother did with the baby in the formative years. Let's reestablish contact with nature and see what nature wants to show us visually, wants us to smell with our nose, wants us to hear with our ears, wants us to taste with our mouth. And I think that our lives will be so much better through healing because this journey of survivorship, we are alive. Western medicine has saved us, but I need traditional Chinese medicine, Qigong especially, the healing of Qigong, just to help me manage my emotions and other aspects of my life through survivorship. So again, thank you for listening. And next week, we'll do a little bit of Qigong physical practice. I won't be on the road. Thank you again, Aortic Hope, for everything you do. You're great. I just so appreciate all the programs that you offer to us survivors. And as always, May you be blessed and filled with chi.